Hey guys, welcome back. My name's Jess and I like to talk about movies. Today, I wanted to talk about 4 movies that I think deserve to be remade or reimagined and who I would choose to direct them. Please keep in mind that these are my opinions and are strictly hypothetical, so as in life, don't take it too seriously. Also, I just wanted to say that although these things are fun to think about, it is very important to put emphasis on new ideas and concepts for horror so that we're not stuck getting the same franchise reboots every single year. I'm looking at you, David Gordon Green. I am saving the best for last on this list, so please stick around for that. I promise you won't be disappointed. And with that, let's get started. The first movie I'd like to see remade or reimagined is 1932's The Most Dangerous Game. The Most Dangerous Game was originally a short story written by Richard Connell that came out in 1924. This story follows celebrated hunter Sanger Rainsford after falling overboard and washing ashore on ship Trap Island. He is welcomed by General Zaroff, who quickly reveals that having grown bored of hunting tigers and buffalo, he has begun hunting the most dangerous game: humans. I remember reading this story for a school assignment and it quickly becoming one of the most interesting things I have ever read in my entire life. It's short, full of action, and packed with dialogue that keeps you on the edge of your seat. It is easily one of the most disturbing concepts that I've read about. I can't believe they let us read this in school, but I'm very happy that they did. This book was first adapted to the big screen in 1932. It was very well received back then and still is to this day. The story itself has gone on to inspire quite a few movies throughout the decades, the most recent of those being The Hunt, which came out in 2020. And although there have been a few lower budget remakes here and there, I think this story deserves a remake done by Robert Eggers. Think about it. The Most Dangerous Game is very well known for the atmosphere that it creates. An abandoned island, a disturbing castle, a villain that drinks wine in his trophy room while twirling his mustache. It's perfect for the type of horror that Eggers likes to create. Period pieces that are just as uncomfortable to watch as they are horrifying. I'm getting Lighthouse vibes from this, and could you imagine William Dafoe being cast? Say less. The second movie that I would like to see remade or reimagined is 2003's The Haunted Mansion. The Haunted Mansion is a family-friendly, scary Disney movie that came out in 2003 and stars Eddie Murphy. This storyline is actually based loosely on the ride that is in Disney World, not the other way around. Please don't come at me, I'm not a Disney person, but I did not know that the movie was actually based on the ride, which is pretty cool. This movie is about real estate Jim Evers, who is accused by his wife Sarah of neglecting his son and daughter, so he takes them on a family vacation. Along the way, the family stops off at a sinister mansion that Jim has been asked to sell, only to discover that it's haunted by its master, Gracie. Since this screenplay is loosely based upon the ride, I feel like it would be pretty easy to tweak it here and there to make it a little bit more adult scary than child-friendly as it is now. And who better to direct a haunted house period piece than Guillermo del Toro? Was I the only person that didn't know this was already a thing? Because in 2010, Guillermo del Toro started developing his screenplay for a Haunted Mansion movie. I promise I didn't know this. And it never came to be, unfortunately. I don't think we'll ever get the movie. It fell through, but I had no clue. And it sucks because apparently Crimson Peak is based on the Haunted Mansion because he's such a fan. And apparently he has a whole room in his house dedicated to Haunted Mansion merchandise. So just, listen to the next part of this video however you would like to. Del Toro has proven himself to be one of the greatest directors, producers, creature concept designers of the last century. Everything he does is just cinematically beautiful, and I don't even need to say more than that. Personally, I would like to see The Haunted Mansion mashed up with Crimson Peak. I think Crimson Peak is one of the most visually stunning movies I have ever seen. And I think if you took those dark and creepy Victorian vibes that we have in Crimson Peak and translate that over to The Haunted Mansion, we'd have something that was really exciting to watch. Number 3. Okay, I know it's not technically horror, but it ties in and you'll see why. So, being a Stephen King fan, it sucks when an adaptation comes out and it just flops. But I think it's universally agreed that one of the very worst has come out in the past few years, and that's 2017's Dark Tower. I literally typed Dark Tower movie into the search bar, and the first suggested option that popped up, I shit you not, was why is Dark Tower so bad? If you're not familiar with it, the Dark Tower series is a collection of 8 books written by Stephen King about a gunslinger and his physical and metaphorical quest to get to this tower. I could go further in depth with this, but it would take hours and hours and hours. Basically, this series is Stephen King's baby. He literally called it his magnus opus. It is a literal mix of all of the genres that you can think of. Western, dark fantasy, horror, sci-fi, you name it, it's in it. But the movie adaptation finally came out in 2017 and was an utter disaster. It was supposed to be part of a multi-film series, and thank God it did so bad because those quickly were canceled. But the book series is so well loved, and a new adaptation is probably unavoidable in the future. So I think the best person to do this is Denis Villeneuve. I am a big Dune gal. I love all of the books, and I really love the most recent adaptation of Dune. I think it is just stunning. I think the storylines, of course, as a fan of the book, it's not going to be perfect, but it's there. And I think everything that Denis has touched is a cinematic masterpiece. Arrival, Prisoners, Enemy. And I think Denis Villeneuve will be the person to breathe life back into this series and give it the adaptation that it well deserves. All right, we've made it. The very last film that I think is deserving of a remake or an adaptation is 13 Ghosts. 13 Ghosts is about a very rich collector who suddenly dies, leaving his house and fortune to his nephew and his family. While they're inside, they quickly realize they're not alone. This movie came out in 2001 and is such a good example of the quintessential 2000s horror cheese movie. And even though it is admittedly not the best movie out there, it has a cult following. People feel very strongly about this movie, and for a good reason. There are aspects of this movie that really draw you in, that make you really curious, and are really well deserving of their own spotlight, and that's the 13 actual ghosts. The 2001 movie is actually a remake of itself, the original one coming out in 1960. For me, the most interesting part of this movie is the backstory of the 13 ghosts that were collected that now live in this house. I know so many people that feel the same exact way and would love to see this expanded on. So my idea for this remake would actually be to turn it into a limited series with 13 episodes. I would love for each episode to go into depth of each and every ghost, telling the story of their life, their death, and the things in between. And I think we're all in agreement when I say there's only one person right for this job: Mike Flanagan. Mike Flanagan has quickly become one of my favorite directors of all time. Everything he touches becomes masterful and intriguing, and I think Midnight Mass is probably one of my favorite things I've watched in the past few years. As we know from Hill House and Bly Manor, the man can obviously write a mean ghost story, but also include the background and the emotion behind that story that gets you invested. I think fans of the 2001 movie would really love to see something like this. It's not completely reinventing the wheel, it's just taking existing source material and expanding further upon that. There you have it, guys. Those are 4 movies that I would love to see remade or reimagined and who I'd pick for the job. Let me know what you guys think. I have a ton more of these ideas, and this was so fun to talk about. As always, thank you guys for watching, and if you like this video, I would really appreciate it if you just gave it a thumbs up. But if you really liked this video, then just subscribe. Thanks again, you guys. See you next time.